What if the British won the American Revolutionary War? What if the Revolutionary War hadn't gone the way we know it? What if the 13 American colonies, instead of forging a path to independence, had remained loyal provinces under the British Crown? Could America as we know it exist? Would the ideals of liberty and democracy have spread beyond its borders? Or would the world we live in be something entirely unrecognizable? In this thought-provoking exploration, we dive into this alternate reality to imagine a world where the British emerged victorious in the American Revolutionary War. From the political and cultural shifts in North America to the cascading global consequences, let's explore how a single historical change might have reshaped the course of history forever. The Revolutionary War was a pivotal moment in history, setting the stage for the United States as a beacon of freedom and democracy. Led by visionary thinkers like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin, the colonies fought against what they saw as tyranny, a monarchy imposing taxes and laws without representation. The war itself had many turning points. The early battles of Lexington and Concord, the devastating winter at Valley Forge, and the eventual triumph at Yorktown with the decisive support of France. But what if these events had turned against the rebels? What if the British, with their superior military and resources, had stifled the revolution, forcing the colonies to remain part of their empire? To begin imagining this alternate timeline, we must consider the pivotal changes that could have altered the outcome. Perhaps the Continental Army never gained French support. Perhaps General George Washington was captured early in the war. Or maybe Britain's military leaders adopted more aggressive strategies to quell the rebellion. Whatever the alternate turning point, a British victory would have sent shockwaves through history. If the British won the Revolutionary War, the political structure of North America would look drastically different. The colonies, bound together by their shared grievances, likely would not have coalesced into a united nation. Instead, they may have remained separate entities, governed by individual colonial administrations under the Crown. The British government would have sought to pacify the colonies while maintaining control. Perhaps reforms to taxation and governance could have been introduced to placate colonial concerns, avoiding further uprisings. But it's equally possible that unrest would persist. After all, taxation without representation was one of the revolution's key rallying cries. An ongoing British presence might stifle dissent, but would the seeds of rebellion ever truly be extinguished? Without independence, the founding documents of the United States, such as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, would not exist. The philosophies of liberty, individual rights, and the separation of powers might never have emerged in their modern forms. This raises critical questions about how personal freedoms and democratic values would evolve in a British-controlled America. A British victory in the Revolutionary War wouldn't just affect North America. It would fundamentally alter the global balance of power, favoring an even stronger British Empire. The colonies were a significant economic asset, rich in resources and fertile for expansion. Retaining them would bolster British dominance, particularly during the 19th century, a time of intense geopolitical rivalries. During the Napoleonic Wars, Britain would likely have wielded even greater leverage, benefiting from the economic contributions of the colonies. A stronger, unified British Empire could also reshape the trajectory of the Industrial Revolution, as trade between Britain and its American provinces could be streamlined to favor imperial expansion. Fast forward to the 20th century, where a British-controlled America might play a pivotal role in major global conflicts. Would a unified empire enter World War I and World War II as an even more formidable force? Or would the entrenchment of colonial hierarchies incite internal rebellions, destabilizing the empire from within? These questions demonstrate how a single alternate outcome could ripple through centuries of international relations. One of the most profound questions surrounding this alternate reality is the fate of global democracy. In our timeline, the United States played a central role in advancing democratic ideals worldwide. The Declaration of Independence inspired countless independence movements, from France to Latin America, and eventually shaped the trajectory of global politics. If the British had won, would the philosophies of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have gained the global prominence they hold today? A British-controlled America might still have seen calls for reform, but the creation of a nation founded on democratic values would likely have been delayed or entirely prevented. Monarchical structures and class hierarchies might have persisted across the colonies, dampening the spread of egalitarian philosophies. As a result, the global movement towards self-governance could have been dramatically altered or even stagnated. The world could look very different without America's influence during pivotal moments, like the end of World War II, the Civil Rights Movement, or the fall of the Soviet Union. Could another nation have taken America's place as the champion of democracy? Or would authoritarian regimes have gained the upper hand in shaping the global order? Life for many groups in colonial America would have unfolded differently under British rule. For indigenous peoples, a British victory could have led to harsher outcomes. Unlike the fledgling United States, which engaged in treaties before ultimately displacing native populations, Britain might have prioritized resource extraction and military expansion at an even greater scale, amplifying the loss of indigenous lands and cultures. The institution of slavery, too, might have taken a different trajectory. In our timeline, the United States grappled with the issue through its Civil War, eventually leading to abolition. Under British rule, slavery was abolished in the Empire in 1833, meaning that an earlier end to slavery in the colonies is possible. However, the cultural landscape around race relations and civil rights would likely have developed in a vastly different way. Would the gains of movements like the Civil Rights Movement ever have been realized in the same way? Moreover, waves of immigration to America during the 19th and early 20th centuries, the foundation of the U.S.'s cultural identity, might have unfolded differently. Would people from Europe, Asia, and beyond still flock to a land owned and regulated by Britain? Or would such migrations favor other parts of the empire, such as Canada or Australia? Beyond politics and social justice, the cultural identity of North America would undoubtedly be shaped differently. The very notion of the American dream, rooted in ideals of self-determination and opportunity, may not have emerged. Literature, art, and even entertainment, which were influenced by the rugged individualism of the United States, could take entirely different forms. Economically, a British-controlled America would serve as an extension of the empire, providing crucial resources for industrial and commercial growth. In this alternate reality, industrial centers might favor cities that primarily benefit British industries, potentially stunting regional economic growth in certain areas. Trade dynamics, too, would be influenced by imperial policies aimed at enriching Britain rather than fostering American autonomy. The absence of an independent United States could also mean less incentive for technological and scientific innovation tied to competition among global powers. Would inventions like the telephone, internet, or airplane have emerged in the same way without a uniquely ambitious and independent American culture driving them? Or would Britain's dominance encourage innovation instead through a centralized imperial system? This alternate timeline invites profound reflection on concepts of liberty, identity, and power. In our timeline, the American Revolution forced the world to reevaluate entrenched ideas about governance and individual rights. If Britain had won and the revolution had failed, that critical conversation might not have happened, or it might have sounded very different. Colonial America was not just fighting for independence, it was creating an entirely new identity. Without the Revolutionary War, such an identity might never emerge. Instead, the colonies may have clung to their Britishness while slowly adapting to shifting political landscapes. This raises an even more philosophical question. What shapes a nation? Is it the shared struggle for independence and democratic values, or simply geography and governance? By imagining what could have been, we gain a deeper appreciation for the world as it is, while wrestling with the fragility of the freedoms and identities we often take for granted. History is a tapestry woven from countless decisions and outcomes, and changing even one thread has the potential to unravel everything we know. A British victory in the American Revolutionary War would alter the course of history in ways more profound than we can fully imagine. From the political makeup of North America to the global balance of power, from the pursuit of individual freedom to the fate of entire cultures. This alternate timeline offers endless avenues for exploration and debate. What makes such thought experiments particularly gripping is their relevance. By questioning how our world might look with just one shift in history, we sharpen our understanding of what truly matters: the ideals, sacrifices, and struggles that form the foundations of our shared humanity. So, how would British dominance have shaped this world? What lessons can we take from imagining this alternate path? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and take part in a conversation that transcends time and reality. Because ultimately, history isn't just about what happened. It's about what could have happened and how those possibilities inform who we are today. Like and subscribe for more from History Twist, and don't forget to request a video in the comments.